And we are here to say that we will never forget. We are here to say that what happened 39 years ago, right now, was unthinkable, unacceptable, and we will always stand in remembrance of the people. We are here to remember and honor the people who were not treated as people, not considered as people, not remembered as people when the city of Philadelphia decided not only that they were going to drop a bomb, but that they were going to let the fire burn. Not only did they let the fire burn, but they shot bullets at people as they moved to escape. The city of Philadelphia had no qualms with losing their humanity at the face of the dignity and humanity of our moved family members. And we, therefore, are taking the streets in order to make sure that people remember. Anybody should be thinking, it is May 13th. This is May 13th. Same way you decide you're not going to take the Parkway on July 4th, unless you want to be in the July 4th activities. On May 13th at this time, you need to be thinking, this is a time when the city is remembering what happened to move. And either I'm here to celebrate, commemorate, remember their lives, or I should go some other way. Everybody should be remembering what this moment means. Everyone in Philadelphia in particular should remember this moment, should know what right now is. That's why we're taking the streets. It's not convenient. It's not convenient for the members, for the family members, for the people who knew personally the individuals who are represented here on these murals. It is not convenient for them that they have to imagine what they would be doing right now. Imagine what kinds of individuals these children would have grown into at this moment. On the move? Whose streets?
Our streets.
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 Who has the power?
We got the power.
Who got the power?
We got the power.
Who got the power?
We got the power.
What kind of power? People power. Who got the power?
We got the power.
What kind of power?
People power.
Our people power is frightening to individuals who wish to suppress and repress liberty and truth. That is what today is also about, because the individuals who were working and living in the MOVE organization were truth speakers and liberation fighters. They fought for the liberation of all life and fight for the liberation of all life. There is no life that is not deserving to be respected. And that is what MOVE individuals, community members knew and understood and fought for. And they knew where the power lies when a lot of people don't understand and recognize where the power lies. They knew that the power lies in the people. So every year we come together, and every year we will continue to come together to mark this moment and to say to our family members who are represented on these murals that we remember. The lives of 11 people, 5 children and 6 adults, were taken at 6221 Osage Avenue on May 13th, 1985. As we gather in this place, we must say their names. When I say their names, we will take a moment of silence for each life and say Ibaye, which means rest in peace in Yoruba. The children whose lives should have been protected. Tree Africa, she was 14. Netta Africa, she was 12. Delisha Africa, she was 13. Little Phil Africa, he was 12. And Tommaso Africa, he was 9. Let's take an extended moment of silence and remember these babies who were taken. The adults whose lives should have been respected. Rhonda Africa, Teresa Africa, Frank Africa, Raymond Africa, Conrad Africa, and John Africa. The 2 survivors of this horrific act of state terrorism. A child MOVE member, Birdie Africa, escaped with 3 third-degree burns, but also lost his mother, Rhonda Africa, in the fire. He transitioned in 2013. Ibaye. And of course, our sister and continued freedom fighter, Ramona Africa, who was incarcerated for 7 years after the bombing on charges of riot and conspiracy. She continues to survive. Long live Ramona Africa. Long live Ramona Africa. Long live Ramona Africa. At 5:27 p.m. on May 13, 1985, Philadelphia police, firefighters, and elected officials, including the city's first Black mayor, Wilson Goode, dropped a bomb on 13 members of the MOVE organization living at 6221 Osage Avenue. The violent assault by the city of Philadelphia that escalated to the bombing of MOVE headquarters, in fact, began a whole day before, on Sunday, May 12, 1985, which was also Mother's Day. This day was the start of a 2-day-long attack on the MOVE organization. This was no mistake. Police Commissioner
Gregor Sambor believed Mother's Day was the best day to launch an assault on MOVE. He anticipated that the Black residents of Osage Avenue would leave, go to church, go visit their relatives, and not return home. Sambor planned to use this day of reverence to attack MOVE in secret without anyone to bear witness. On Mother's Day, Osage Avenue residents were ordered by the police to evacuate their homes by 10 p.m. Neighbors reluctantly left their homes, angry at the disturbance and not knowing that they would be unable to return. Some neighbors tried to stay in place, but police conducted searches of homes on the block, and they forcibly removed residents who tried to stand their ground. 62nd and Osage Avenue was placed under military occupation. Police spent the day setting up barricades in the area and preparing for their attack. Police helicopters flew overhead, and officers and detectives manned checkpoints around the residential area. During this time, police escorted MOVE children who were not in the house on Osage Avenue back into the home in advance of the attack on the house. MOVE supporters from throughout the city gathered on Osage Avenue in protest. Some made futile attempts to negotiate with the police. Others gathered to protest, but they were arrested.
In the early morning of May 13th, 1985, around 3 a.m., utility crews cut off gas and electricity to the 6200 block of Osage Avenue right here. Sharpshooters and members of the bomb disposal unit began to set up on Pine Street near MOVE's home. Hundreds of police formed a diamond formation around the area, on rooftops and at the street level. Several of the cops on site on May 13th had also been involved in the police raid of MOVE's Powelton Village home on August 8th, 1978, which led to the death of one officer and the brutal capture of several MOVE members, most notably Delbert Africa, whose beating was caught on tape. One Africa who participated in Delbert's beating was also present on May 13th. At 5:35 a.m. on May 13th, Commissioner Sambor shouted over a bullhorn from his post inside another home on the block, "Attention, MOVE! This is America. You have to abide by the laws of the United States." That was his so-called warning for the family to surrender to the police. 15 minutes later, at 5:50 a.m., MOVE members refused to come out under the ring of deadly firepower, saying, "We ain't got a motherfucking thing to lose, so come on down and get us." In the decade prior, dozens of MOVE members had already been beaten and shot by police, had hundreds of members jailed and incarcerated, had the city seized their homes 7 years earlier on August 8th, 1978, had been subject to city welfare agencies removing their children and even jailing pregnant MOVE women. They believed there was nothing left to lose but their freedom.
Shortly after police began a full-scale military attack on the MOVE home, where there were 7 adults, some of them parents, 6 children, and animals inside. Police fired tear gas and smoke projectiles at 6221 Osage Avenue. The gas covered the entire neighborhood in a blanket of stifling and blinding smoke. With spectators and media unable to see, police began to blow 3-inch holes into the walls and foundation of MOVE's home in order to flood the interior with tear gas. The city used the same water that firefighters are meant to use to protect citizens as a weapon. Water cannons poured thousands of gallons of high-pressure water onto Move's roof, trying unsuccessfully to destroy a bunker that Move had erected to counter-surveil police who watched Move on a regular basis. 10 minutes later, around 6 a.m., police began firing bullets at the Move home. These first shots initiated an uneven shootout with Move members who tried to defend themselves, their home, and their children. Move was armed with non-automatic weapons, rifles, shotguns, and pistols. For the next 90 minutes, between 6 and 7:30 a.m., police fired at least 10,000 rounds of ammunition into the home. During the ensuing chaos, teams of police lobbed blocks of C4 at 6221, which blew most of Move's front porch into the street. Concerned observers and activists, well aware that children were in the house, made desperate pleas to any available person in authority to halt the madness, but their cries went unheeded. Police blew up the rest of the front porch with C4.
The militaristic attack continued throughout the day until the evening. With the support of the FBI, Philadelphia police were armed and equipped with tear gas, water cannons, and high-grade military weapons that were, at the time, hardly ever found in the hands of city police departments. This included M16s, a potent weapon developed for use in the Vietnam War. Other law enforcement were armed with automatic rifles with silencers, Uzis, a 50 caliber machine gun, and a 20 millimeter armor-piercing anti-tank gun. Some of the bullets were 11 inches long, longer than the average person's hand or foot. These bullets can penetrate the trunks of trees and even bricks. The federal government also provided C4 bombs to the city. At 5:27 p.m., the police dropped 4 pounds of C4 on the Move house from a borrowed state police helicopter. The massive explosion, felt a mile away, failed to dislodge the bunker, but it did quickly start a fire on the roof. Still intent on destroying the bunker, the police commissioner suggested to the fire commissioner that they use the fire. The fire commissioner agreed and ordered his men to deliberately let the fire burn.
When the burning bunker fell through the roof, it drove the fire into the second floor interior and soon engulfed the porch area, where flames quickly leapfrogged to the adjacent houses, raging out of control. The fire was deliberately allowed to burn. With the upper floors of the house burning intensely, Move members took refuge in the rear of the basement, with women and children huddling in blankets soaked in water. Move members repeatedly tried to escape from the back of the house, but were met with police gunfire. During their attempts, Ramona Africa and 13-year-old Birdie Africa escaped alive and were taken into custody. Several other adults and children also came out into the alley to escape the fire. Several police veterans of the 1978 confrontation were waiting for them. Various statements by policemen and even the police commissioner himself confirmed that the cops had fired in the alley as the block burned. According to police logs, one officer in particular by the name of Marcus Barriana, who was one of Rizzo's cops from the assault on Move in Powelton Village 7 years earlier, was stationed at the back of the alley. He alone fired over 1,400 shots from several firearms.
It was not only this bombing that killed 6 Move adults and 5 Move children on May 13th, 1985. The city of Philadelphia intentionally and deliberately eliminated the possibility of their survival. Move members tried over and over and over again to escape and survive, but they were shot at and pushed back into the inferno to perish. Move members were forced to endure brutal, unthinkable deaths, all because firefighters and police, duty-bound to serve and protect the people, were commanded to let the fire burn. For hours, the fire raged on Osage Avenue, spreading to Pine Street to the north, Addison to the south, and beyond. In the process, 2 city blocks and 61 homes were burned to the ground. The city of Philadelphia caused this horrific loss of beloved, precious life, where there could have been survival.
This disregard of life did not end there. On May 14th, police sharpshooters returned in the early morning hours without authorization to disturb the scene of the bombing and the attack. The bodies of 6 adults and 5 children were recovered from the smoldering ruins after a crane had scooped through it, obliterating exact recovery positions. Medical examiner personnel left the bodies unrefrigerated, making the delayed test to determine the cause of death inconclusive, even though bullets were found in some of the bodies. The Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office later had their certification revoked because of this blatant disregard. In 2021, we found out that 2 forensic anthropologists, Alan Mann and Janet Monge, who consulted on this case, stole the remains of Delisha in Tree, Africa, without the knowledge and consent of the Move family. And they experimented on them for teaching, research, and profit at the University of Pennsylvania and Princeton University. Every May 13th, for 39 years, this community has demanded justice. Today marks a new chapter called Reclaim Osage, and we will hear from Mike Africa Jr. all about it.
That's right.
And first, we will say their names again. The lives of 11 people, 5 children, and 6 adults were taken at 6221 Osage Avenue on May 13th, 1985. Before we leave this place, we must say their names again. This is hallowed ground. We will again take a moment of silence for each life and say Ibaye. The children whose lives should have been protected. 14-year-old Tree, Africa. 12-year-old Netta, Africa.
13-year-old Delisha, Africa.
Monge.
12-year-old Little Phil, Africa.
Monge.
And 9-year-old Tommaso, Africa.
Monge.
The adults whose lives should have been respected. Rhonda, Africa.
Monge.
Teresa, Africa.
Monge.
Frank, Africa.
Monge.
Raymond, Africa.
Monge.
Conrad, Africa.
Monge.
And John, Africa.
Monge.
And the two survivors of this horrific act of state terrorism. Birdie, Africa. Ibaye. And once again, long live Ramona, Africa. Long live Ramona, Africa. On a move.
On the move, y'all. All right. Get myself together. First, let me say thank you to all of y'all that came out here. Every year we do this. And every year I feel the love from the community. Every year I see different faces. I see some of the same faces. I see some faces that I haven't seen in decades. But even when I don't see people, I always feel the love. I always feel the love. So I appreciate that, and I don't want to say one thing without acknowledging y'all. This event, this May 13th, this bombing. You know, they say time heals all wounds. That's not true. That's not true. You know, some wounds can't be healed. You learn to live with things. You learn to deal with things. But these scars that we have on our bodies and on our minds are reminders of that we have suffered. And the bombing of our family, every time I hear the names of the children and the adults, it's like it happened yesterday. I'm writing a book, and in the process of writing this book, I'm forced to remember things that I've forgotten about. And I'm really glad that I wrote this book, because there's a lot of memories that I have with the children that I've lost. But in the process of writing this book, it's reminding me of those times we had. This morning, my son and I did the first of 13 half marathons in honor and in memory of the people that were killed May 13th, and Birdie and Ramona too. And the reason we did this is because one of the memories that I have strongly with the children is playing together and running. You know, when we say their names, this is something that we've done throughout the country with many victims of police violence. We say Sandra Bland, we say Tamir Rice, we say Ayanna Jones, we say Breonna Taylor, we say a lot of names. We say Walter Wallace, murdered right here in Philly. We say a lot of names. And the reason that I decided to do this run is because I don't want our people to be faceless victims. I want to take it beyond just saying their names. You know, a lot of people don't know that Raymond was a jazz enthusiast. He loved Charlie Parker, and he could play multiple instruments. So one of the runs that I'm going to do, the one that I'm going to do for him, I'm going to do in Kansas City, the birthplace of Charlie Parker. And I want to connect with the people in Kansas City and teach them about who Raymond Africa was. And the run that I do for Tree, I want to do in California, where the tallest trees in the world are, because Tree loved to climb trees. You know, we have to really get people to understand that our people weren't just names, they were people. They had lives, they had dreams, they had interests, they had feelings, and they were taken, snuffed out, they were murdered. They were gone too soon. And it's really important for us to document this history, to talk about these things, and to never forget. If you forget, what they say, history is bound to repeat itself. I was talking to a person who said, to me, a bombing like that could never happen again. And I'm confused a little bit about this person's level of understanding of history in this country. Move wasn't the first people that were bombed by the government, and wasn't the last. And it could happen again, because the conditions that Move protested about are still conditions that we're protesting about. Move protested about police brutality. We're protesting about police brutality today. Move protested about unjust prison sentences. We just saw a ton of juvenile lifers come home from prison because of unjust prison sentences. Move were protesting that in the 70s, and before that, the Panthers was protesting that in the 60s, and before that, people were protesting that because it's an issue. So for someone to say that it couldn't happen again, I say that person is ignorant. They don't know. And the reason they don't know is because they're not in these streets. When you're involved in something, you understand it. And we're living in a system that is bombing Palestine right now. 34,000 people dead, 14,000 of them children. If that can happen in 2024, then why can't resistors be bombed, be shot, be killed? Let's not forget, the bomb gets a lot of attention because it was a bomb, but the issue is murder.
Right.
If everyone had survived, we'd still be talking about a bomb, but it wouldn't be what it is without the murders. 11 people were murdered, and then their bodies were stolen by Penn and used as research material and teaching material at Princeton. It could happen again. We're hearing what's happening in Palestine, where they're talking about People are stealing the remains of children over there and stealing their organs. You know, I'm never nervous when I get on the microphone. Never. Except on this day. I never know what to say. I'm always trying to think about the words that I would use to live up to my family. And they're never adequate. I always try to speak from the heart. I always just say how I feel, because I think that's what my family will want. Not just to try to give a good speech, but to say how I feel and what's on my mind. And what's on my mind right now is we got to do better. You know, I'm going to say something that ain't popular. Who looking? Inspired by Pan Africa, so. Hey! Oh, my mom and dad are here, y'all. Look. Maybe I shouldn't say it. Hold up. Hey, Dad. Hey, Ma. Woo! Yeah, I ain't gonna say it now. I'll tell y'all later. No. What I'm gonna say is that, you know, we can't allow these systems to disarm us. It's very important to respond to these injustices with what's necessary to eliminate the injustice. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yes.
You know, the government, the system, the news media, the bad news media, not the Mumia Abu Jamal type news media, but the other kind, they do a really good job trying to take the wind out of the sail, the energy out of people by saying things like, protest, we welcome your protest, but make sure your protest is peaceful.
Right.
That's a trick. And now let me just be clear. I'm not saying that people should do what they do, because, you know, but what I'm saying is, don't take advice from your enemy.
Right.
Don't do that. Don't take it. You should notice what they're doing, you recognize what they're doing, but you don't take advice about how you should move and how you should respond to an injustice from the people that committed the injustice, that's trying to protect themselves from your movement. That don't make no sense. At what point in time are we supposed to believe that our suggestions to them about the way they deal with people are something that they're going to respect? I read an article in that Jamie Gauthier posted on Instagram today about the UC townhomes, right? The UC townhomes were destroyed. That lot is leveled. It's dirt. The houses are gone.
Yeah.
And now the deal is not working out. So whatever they were trying to give, that they were saying they were trying to give, they reneging. And what they were trying to give wasn't even that great.
That's right.
But the point is, you know, this is how they move. They're never going to be above board. They're always going to have some kind of underhanded trick to try to get what they want and give you as little as possible. And for us to take advice or direction on how we protest that from them, that's ridiculous. I'm getting a headache from all the examples that's coming to my head about how crazy that is. But just think about Sandra Bland. Sandra Bland was in a police station. We saw the camera. We saw her in the room, in the holding facility. And all of a sudden she's dead. These people that she said some things, they didn't like what she said. And the reaction to that was a mysterious death. And these are the people that are saying things like, Mike, we want to make sure that we figure out all of this stuff with the remains of the children. This is UPenn, Chris Woods, and Chaz, the other person. Chaz Howard. They want to talk about, they said they want to try to figure out how we can fix this situation as best as possible. And I wonder, what would they want if this was their children? Would they be accepting the offender's call for being calm and just giving them time and rescheduling? My last message to Chris Woods was, we have activities we're trying to do. If you want to support what we're doing, we'll accept the support. But don't offend my family. Don't offend us with some nonsense. As of right now, they said, we'll support an event that you're working on with $10,000. And we think that's a good place to start. In the 90s, there was an organization called Refuse and Resist. Anybody here remember that? Or am I telling my age?
You are.
They be like, Mike, listen, my niece called me old man. She called me old man. And I asked her, I said, why you call me old man? She said, because I want to keep you young.
Okay.
The real reason she called me old man is because when she first met me, she thought I was 25. I was like, thank you very much. Anyway, there was this group called Refuse and Resist. And they had a slogan. They used to say, act your rage. Y'all remember that? Damn.
That's a good one.
Act your rage.
Damn, remember? Act your rage.
I'm here for it.
And in the same era, in the 90s, my father wrote an article called Where's the Rage? Where's the rage for the murder of 11 people? Where's the rage for the stealing of their bones? Where's the rage for this Janet Monge person making videos of her holding up the remains of 14-year-old Tree Africa and doing YouTube videos describing her bones as juicy and fresh and all these things? And then had the nerve to want to sue people that were talking about her publicly doing it. Where's the rage? See, you better believe that if Mike Africa Jr. decided that he was going to steal the remains of Janet Monge's kids or Alan Mann's kids, drove them around in the back of my car, took them to the hood down the bottom and said, yo, Tyrone, check out these bones I got. I stole them from there, so and so and so and so. Mike Africa Jr. will be in handcuffs. And every descriptive word that they could use to describe how foul that is will be plastered on the front page of every newspaper in Philadelphia and across the country.
Right.
But when a person from the University of Penn do it, it's a different story. They didn't even fire her for doing that. So my response to that is, I'm gonna act my rage. I'm gonna act my rage. Because I can't take it no more.
No.
When the bombing happened, I was 6 years old. I was a child. I'm a grown man now, and I'm gonna act my rage. I'm tired of this stuff. Cam taught me. As part, hey, okay, yeah. As part of this is May 13th. Today is May 13th. I want to make an announcement about some of the other events that we have going on. I talked about writing this book. Writing the book was really about documenting the history. We have to tell our own stories because we can't depend on someone else to do it. They don't do it right. They don't know the story, and it needs to come from us. So that's why I wrote this book. But also, we're working on a MOVE archive. The organization is over 50 years old. And there's a lot of information that people collected over the years. And so we built this archive, and we're having an exhibit, and we want to invite everybody to the exhibit to view the work that we've done. And yeah, give it up. That's right, because we did a lot of work. We have, and Crystal right here, Crystal Strong, and I,
Let's go.
mostly led by Crystal. Crystal be like, Mike, we got to do this. And I'll be like, all right, what's next? Okay, cool, okay. I'm just like, because she's very, very organized. Everything that we display is very well thought out. It has a real...
Excellence.
Excellent is the word. Very important, very well thought out. And we were talking, she was talking to someone one day, and she wasn't talking to me, but she said something that spoke to how she moved in the space. And she was talking to the person, and she said, this is a very important history. And I'm very careful about how it's displayed. And that's exactly the way she is. Even when I be like, Crystal, I think this is good enough. You said that. You said, this is a very important history, and I'm very...
No, that's a fact. Right,
so I'd be like, Crystal, this is probably good enough right here. And she'd be like, no, that's not going to work. We have to make sure it's right, So anyway, the exhibit is going to be at the Paul Robeson House and Museum. It's going to be on Thursday, May 16th for media, though, right? Yes. Okay.
All right, y'all. So I'm going to hop on the mic for just 1 second. The first exhibit of the Move Activist Archive is about to be launched this week. So the Move, yes, it's a very long time coming. And one thing I just want to recognize is that the Move Archive only exists because of decades of labor from Move members, including Louise James Africa, who was the owner of the house on Osage Avenue and sister to John Africa, Laverne Sims, Mike's grandma, Debbie's mom, who also for decades collected Move materials, first to free political prisoners, to seek justice for Move. And so Mike inherited these materials from his family members, hundreds, thousands of many different kinds of materials that have never before been seen outside of the organization. And so our first exhibit is called Move the Old Days. And I'll let Mike explain to you what Move the Old Days represents. But for those of you who care about Move, want to learn about Move, this is an opportunity to learn about Move history from the folks who lived it. Not from the State Archive, which is the one at Temple University, not from the stories just of all of the horrible things that the government did to Move, right? But why Move existed in the first place. And so on Thursday, the 16th, in the afternoon, we are hosting members of the press. If you would like to come visit the exhibit, record the exhibit, talk to us about the exhibit, and amplify the exhibit, you are welcome. Come talk to us. On Thursday at 6:30, we are having a special viewing of the exhibit where you will have a chance to have a very intimate tour of the exhibit. Right, we will also have a panel discussion with special guests. Can I tell them who the special guests are? Or can I tell them who the special guests are? Okay, the special guests are Mike Sr., Debbie, and Mike Jr., who I am so happy to be moderating a family conversation with. And then on Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 7, we will have public tours of the exhibit that will be guided by Mike and myself. And so we hope you will come out. This is a fundraiser for the Reclaim Osage campaign, which Mike can close us out by telling you a little bit about. But please go purchase tickets. They are at www.movearchive.com. You can see the link to the Eventbrite, and we hope you will come out, support, learn, and share this experience with all of us. Movearchive.com. Movearchive.com. And if you have any trouble accessing it, Come see me before you leave.
Okay. So, in closing, right? The Reclaim Osage campaign. So, a lot of you already know that after the government dropped the bomb, killed the people, destroyed the homes, my great aunt Louise owned the house 6221, and the city took it from her through eminent domain. And they refused to give it back. It was occupied by police for, I believe, over 30 years. When a redevelopment company came in to rebuild the houses, the city sold the houses to the developer for $1. I called the city and I said, listen, my aunt's been trying to get this house back. I got $1.
Right.
The city said, we're not selling this house to you. I asked, why? Said, because your last name is Africa. So they sold it to the developer. The developer developed it, and then he sold it to a private resident for $300,000. The private resident didn't realize what that house was, and that he was constantly getting visits from people wanting to take pictures and see what's going on. They were looking in the house, and he told me, he said, my wife and I don't use the front door. Whenever we go out, we have to use the back, because there's always a camera in our faces or something. In 2022, we were here doing what we do, and he saw us on the block. He sent me a message and he said, do you want to buy this house? And I said, absolutely. This was my aunt's dying wish. I had a conversation with her about it too. I wasn't trying to persuade her from buying it back, but I was definitely confused about why she wanted it back. So I just asked her, with so much destruction and devastation that happened at that house, why do you want it back? And she said, very simply, because it's mine, and I want it back. She said, it belongs in my family, not the city's. I want my house back. And then she said, and I'm going to get it back too.
There you go.
She was 86 years old. I said, word. Little did I know that this homeowner was going to call me and ask me if I wanted it back. So I told him I did, and then we started trying to figure out how to make that happen. First thing he said was, I bought it for this. With inflation and gentrification, I need it for this. That price was $360,000 for a stolen home. And the mortgage, wait, and hold up, but wait, there's more. The mortgage company said because they needed to put a special stipulation on the property because my last name is Africa. So they charged more money, more fees. Total number was about $410,000. Straight discrimination. I called the city of Philadelphia and I say, hey, look, this is our house. Y'all took it from us, caused the reason for us to not have it. We want it back. We want some support on that. You know what they told me? They said, the city of Philadelphia has paid all that we're obligated to pay, and we're not willing to pay any more.
Shame. Shame.
Now, as much as I wanted to leap through the phone and act my rage, the more important mission was to get my aunt's house back. So I called some family and friends, and we worked out a way to reclaim Osage Avenue.
Woo!
So now, we've been paying this mortgage, but I'm trying to get this thing done. I want this mortgage paid as soon as possible. First of all, you know, listen, I know this sounds weird. Well, it feels weird to say. Reparations, we hear this word reparations a lot. We know that reparations ain't something that we've ever been given. Anytime we wanted anything, we always had to fight for it. We should have never been put in chains and put on slave ships and shipped over here to this country. But we were. And to get those chains off of our wrists and off of our ankles, we had to fight for it. They didn't give us anything. Reparations only comes through fighting. And it only comes from us working and supporting each other, building community.
That's right.
So I'm asking for the community support to get this house back. And like I said, I want this thing paid off in a year. By this time next year, the 40-year anniversary, this thing needs to be done. Right now, we're working out building out a tour, a speaking tour, to go around the country to talk to other people that want to support this movement, this Reclaim Osage campaign, and we expect to come back with some dollars to get this thing done. And we expect to remove all those stipulations because we won't be under a mortgage company, and then we can do with the house what we want. Freedom. That's what it's about, freedom. Coming out to the Move Archive exhibit that Crystal explained about is a really good way to support Reclaim Osage, because the proceeds that come from that exhibit will go straight to paying toward the mortgage. And of course, if you guys know, you know, the presence, your presence at the museum and in the work that we're doing will support and bring attention to other people so that they can support and we can get this thing done. Funding, what'd you say? She said good, abundant energy, like we got right now.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so, the tour. So this is okay. So we're doing tours. So far, we have 23 cities that's committed to hosting us around the country. We have New York, and we have a city in Vermont, 2 cities in Vermont. We have Boston, we have Santa Barbara, we have Oakland, we have Chicago, New York City, and of course, we gotta have Philly. And the list goes on, but we wanna extend that list. We wanna make it so that we can raise all this money, come back, pay this mortgage off, and have Osage Avenue fully reclaimed. So if you guys know anybody that want to support by bringing us to your city, we'll take your information and follow up on that. That's all I got. Oh, to get in touch with me about the exhibit, or if you want to make a donation to the Reclaim Osage GoFundMe, movearchive.com. Thank y'all.
I just want to bring your attention to this, these murals that are behind you of the people who were in the house on May 13th, 39 years ago. And there's information, there's little bits of information about each individual that is on there. These wonderful pieces were painted by our comrade Bryce. So give thanks to Bryce, you know, for sharing his talent. But please do take time to just look at them and learn a little something about, again, these are not just faceless people. These are individuals who had personalities, they had dreams, they had aspirations, they had preferences. So learn a little bit about each of them and meet somebody here, you know, before you go. On the move?
On the move.
Y'all make sure y'all drop some extra love on our beautiful, darling, beloved Mama Pam here. who represents the loving energy of Move so well. I don't know many people who show up with consistent love for everyone the way that Mama Pam does. So we can always pour abundance when somebody gives so much and pours so much out. Then it is so important that we rejuvenate them. And so please make sure that you drop some big love deposits on our mama.
Yes.
That's right, bro. Say it again. We don't surrender, we win.
A lot. I've been on Hawaii, but yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll grab it out the car. I gotta get the keys out right to get it.
Pennsylvania State Police helicopter dropped from Moore's house. An uncontrolled fire killed 11 Move members, including 5 children, and destroyed 61 homes. Philadelphia Historical and Museum Commission, 2017. Here's Osage Avenue, guys. This is how it looks now.